Hi, so we have Aaron here with me, a very close friend
Hi.
of mine that I met in China that I'm excited to talk to. So I'm going to let you explain your story a little bit about China and how you got back home.
Sure. So I am from the US. I'm from close to Philadelphia, and that's where I am right now. But I've been living in China for the last few years. And lastly, I was in Beijing, which is where I met you. Um, and I was in Beijing for actually at this point, it would have been a year if I was still there now, it would have been a full year. Um, But back in January, towards the end of January, I left to go to Vietnam for holiday, for vacation. And while I was in Vietnam, that is when everything kind of exploded with the coronavirus um, events in China. And I ended up getting sick while I was in Vietnam. And I have a question. I'm sorry. Can
Okay.
you hear the lawnmower?
Oh, it's okay, no problem. We don't really hear it that much.
Okay, because I was like, it's really loud here. And I'm like, go figure, of course, right when we started. Do I need to start over?
No, you can just keep going. Okay.
What is it? Cut that. Um, but yeah, okay. So I went to Vietnam towards the end of January, and I got sick while I was there. It was just like an upper respiratory infection. It was actually just a upper respiratory infection. It was not the virus, but I had a cough and I had a little bit of a fever for a couple of days. And my friend who I was with said that I probably wouldn't be allowed back into the country because I was only supposed to be in Vietnam for a week before flying back to Beijing. And so, about a day before I'm supposed to fly back to Beijing, we decided that I would not go back, and my friend would fly back to Beijing. I would wait another day, and I would fly back to the US. And I've been here. I flew back. I think I landed on, I think it was the 2nd of February, and I've been here ever since. And what is it now? Like the 4th of June?
Yeah.
Um, a lot longer than I had anticipated. I planned on going back to China early March, but my mother was in a car accident like 3 days before I was planning to go back. Thankfully, it wasn't very serious, but I'm glad that I was here and I was able to stay to just make sure she healed properly and took care of herself. Um, and then uh, I bought another ticket to come back or to go back to China. And uh, the day after, my flight was canceled. And then the day after that, China announced that it was closing its borders uh, 3 days before my flight. So I had just missed the cutoff. Um, but
Gosh.
I had full intention of like going to China, having to go through like the mandatory 2-week quarantine in a hotel. I found out later that I would have to go through an additional 2-week quarantine in my apartment. So that's like a solid month of being by myself locked inside, which sounds horrifying, but wasn't probably too different than what I've been doing now. So yeah.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, it's been
So,
an adventure.
yeah, a whole adventure of misadventures.
Ain't that for true? Yeah.
So your plan was to go back. Your plan is still to go back?
Yes. I mean I have to. Majority of my things are still there. My whole life has been in China for the last few years, so I don't really have anything here anymore. Um, and so I need to go back and get my things. I went on vacation for a week, so all I brought with me was a backpack, about a week's worth of clothes, and my iPad.
That's
So
a very limited inventory.
yeah, It's slowly growing since I've been here, but slowly, slowly. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. So, are you still paying your apartments over there and everything? That's
Um, Actually, I have to pay rent this weekend. Yeah, my apartment is through a friend of mine. It's in their name. Um, because the landlord it was the landlord didn't want it in my name. Um, it was just easier to do it through uh, a Chinese citizen rather than a foreigner, I guess. Um, so I just transfer them the money. All of my money is now here in the US. It's no longer in China. So I just transfer it. I found a pretty simple and inexpensive option to transfer money to China. And I just do that, and then he pays the rent for me.
wow. And so you plan to go back to China to go back to your life over there and work, or do you plan just to go back to empty out your things and then maybe change plans?
Um, I've always been a kind of go with the flow person, I think. Kind of an open to the possibilities, and I'm still that. Um, if something happens here, like if an opportunity presents itself, that's worth taking, I'll probably take it. Um, but like I said, my life has been in China for the last few years, and I'm comfortable there. Um, and I would really like to go back. My current work contract actually ends this month, at the end of this month. Um, and I've already started looking for new work in different cities. So if I don't get something here, I'll probably go back, finalize getting a new job, and move to whatever city that's in. Because I think I'm also just ready to not live in Beijing. I love Beijing, but I don't want to live there.
Fair enough. Yeah. Wow. So a very large adventure that you don't really know where it's going to end up. Um, we'll see where life takes you. I mean, it's a pretty good motto. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Um, I think actually the one it's I'm mm, to show how much the children have an influence on me since I teach them most of the time. I love finding Nemo, and one of the things I live by is the thing that Dory says is just keep swimming.
Just keep.
And exactly. And I got it translated into Chinese, and if I ever get a tattoo, um I might get that tattoo. Just saying.
That'd be a really cool tattoo. I will 100% support you.
I have seen so many Chinese tattoos since I've been here. So many people just get the word life, and it makes me really proud because I can read it.
Well, at least they got the right word written.
I was nervous for a couple because I was like, "Do you know what that says?" And they were like, "Oh." I think they got scared because they started second guessing themselves, and I was like, "No, you're safe. Don't worry. Nothing bad."
Just scaring them for the fun of it. Might as well
Yeah.
have. Okay. Last question. Do you think that this whole pandemic thing is going to change how people travel and end up places?
Oh goodness. Um, I think so. I think change. I think serious change is going to happen. Hopefully, it's for the better. But I think um until like there's a vaccine, or whether there have been some serious steps taken, made serious steps have been made to control not control to have a grasp on this virus. I think there's going to be very drastic changes, and then once there's a vaccine and an understanding of whatnot, then I think they'll loosen up. But yes, long short answer, yes. there will be changes.
Will it change how you would travel? Because you did go like on a vacations here and then. Will it change how you choose your vacation spots or what you do?
Um, I hope not, to be honest. I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't affect, where I go. Um, it might affect how I pack for those vacations. Um, but um, I guess it really depends on how certain places have been affected. I know I've seen things about Thailand getting hit pretty hard, and um, whether or not that's true, I'm just from what I've seen in passing. Um, I just heard that Thailand got hit pretty hard, and Thailand is a place that I have visited several times. Um, I would still like to go back and see more of the country because I liked it there. Um, but um, I don't know. I hope that it doesn't have too negatively of an impact because I still want to have fun, but I'm not going to put my life at risk.
Which is a very good way of staying alive
Yeah.
and being able to have more fun.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing your huge adventure with us, and I really hope that you can get back to China soon enough.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Of course. I'm always here. Call me anytime.